Lila didn't set out to steal another woman's peace, but envy is a fire, and once it touched her heart, everything she thought she wanted began to crumble. 2 weddings, 2 happy friends, and one woman whose loneliness turned into a desperate hunger. This is the story of how envy built her a beautiful cage, then forced her to break free. Lila had everything a woman could want: a beautiful home overlooking the Kwara River, elegant clothes that turned heads in the market, and a face that made strangers pause mid-sentence. Yet every morning she stood at her window watching her neighbours pass by, and a familiar ache settled in her chest. The fisherman's wife laughed too loudly, the carpenter's children played too happily, even the old woman selling oranges seemed more content than she felt. Her sitting room was perfect: carved wooden furniture, fresh flowers, colourful fabrics draped just so. But perfection, she was learning, could feel like a prison when you had no one to share it with. Everything changed the day Sade married Tunda the fisherman. The wedding celebration lasted until dawn, with drums and dancing and so much joy it hurt to watch. Lila stood at the edge of the crowd, her smile painted on like the henna on the bride's hands. When Saad rushed over, breathless and radiant, she squeezed Lila's hands. "Your time will come. Be patient. The right man will find you." Lila nodded and said all the right things, but that night she couldn't sleep. She heard laughter drifting from the newlyweds' home next door and covered her ears with her pillow. 3 months later, Nkem married Chidi the carpenter, and Lila's world grew darker still. 2 friends, 2 happy marriages, and she remained alone. Why them? What did they have that she didn't? She was more beautiful, more refined, more deserving. The thought burned in her chest like hot coals. She began avoiding the market when she knew they'd be there. She made excuses when they invited her to visit. At night, she lay awake making lists of everything she lacked while others had abundance. Then one morning at the fabric seller's stall, Lila overheard 2 women gossiping in low voices. "Did you hear? Elder Taiwo is seeking a second wife. Poor Nena. After all these years of loyalty, now he wants another." Lila's pulse quickened. Elder Taiwo, the wealthy palm wine trader with the largest compound in Riverford. Any woman in town would consider herself fortunate to catch his eye. She inquired casually about him, gathering details like a hunter tracking prey. Within days, Lila began appearing wherever Elder Taiwo conducted business. At the market, she admired his palm wine. On the riverside path, she happened to be walking when he passed. Each encounter seemed accidental, but Lila had planned every word, every smile, every tilt of her head. Elder Taiwo was charmed. How could he not be? Lila was everything Nena was not: young, vibrant, and full of flattering attention. Within 2 months, he proposed by the river at sunset. When Saad heard the news, she rushed to Lila's home, worry creasing her face. "Lila, are you sure about this? He already has a wife, and you barely know him." Lila's eyes turned cold. "Perhaps if you'd struggled as I have, you'd understand. Not everyone finds love as easily as you did." "This isn't about love, Lila. It's about, I know exactly what I'm doing. You should be happy for me." Sade left without another word, and Lila told herself she didn't care. The wedding was everything Lila had dreamed of. A grand celebration, expensive gifts, envious stares from women who'd dismissed her before. She wore gold and smiled until her cheeks ached, finally the center of attention she'd always craved. When guests congratulated her on such a fortunate match, she felt victorious at last. Elder Taiwo's compound was magnificent: sprawling courtyards, servants, rooms filled with luxuries. Lila's quarters were beautiful, with carved furniture and silk curtains. She had everything she'd wanted. But Elder Taiwo was distant, polite, dutiful, but his eyes never lit up when he looked at her the way Tunde's did when he saw Sade. After dinner each evening, he excused himself and spent hours with Nena in the main house. Lila would hear their laughter drifting across the courtyard, intimate, easy, real. She sat alone in her beautiful room, surrounded by expensive things, and felt emptier than ever. One evening, Lila sat in the courtyard, staring at nothing. Footsteps approached, and Nena appeared holding 2 cups of palm wine. Without asking permission, she sat beside Lila and offered her one. "The stars are beautiful tonight," Nena said softly. Lila took the cup warily. "Yes, I used to sit here alone too, in the beginning, before I learned the difference." "What difference?" Nena's eyes were kind but sad. "Between having a place and having peace. Position without peace is still poverty." She stood to leave, then turned back. "I don't blame you, sister. Loneliness makes us do strange things." That night, Lila couldn't sleep. She heard Elder Taiwo and Nena's voices in the distance, sharing stories and laughter that should have been hers. But was it? Had she ever wanted him, or just what he represented? Unable to bear her thoughts, Lila left the compound and walked to the Kwara River. She sat by the water's edge and finally let herself cry. "Beautiful cage you've built for yourself, child." Lila looked up to find an old woman washing clothes nearby, watching her with knowing eyes. "You don't understand," Lila said, wiping her tears. I needed to have what others had." The old woman sat beside her uninvited. "And now you have it." "So why do you weep?" The dam broke. "Because it's not real, none of it. He doesn't love me. I don't even know if I love him. I just wanted—" Her voice cracked. "I just wanted to not feel less than everyone else." The old woman nodded slowly. "Envy is a fire, child. It promises warmth but only burns. It burns what others have and leaves nothing but ash in your hands. You chased shadows and lost your light. What do I do? You already know. Free yourself, forgive yourself. Ask forgiveness from the one whose peace you disturbed." "Nena, the river flows whether we watch it or not. Let your envy flow away with it." The old woman stood and walked into the evening mist, disappearing like smoke. Lila returned to the compound and found Nena in the courtyard. Her voice shook as she sat down. "Nena, I need to tell you the truth. I didn't come here for love. I came because I was jealous of my friends, of women with husbands, of anyone happier than me. I wanted what you had. I wanted to take it, and I'm so sorry." Nena was quiet for a long moment. "I know. I've seen that hunger before. I felt it once myself. You knew, and you were still kind to me." "Kindness isn't earned, sister. It's given. I forgave you the day you arrived. Now you must forgive yourself." Lila felt something break open in her chest. "I'm leaving tomorrow. I can't stay here." Nena embraced her. "Then go in peace. Real peace this time." The next morning, Lila quietly packed her things and returned to her small home in Riverford. She began helping at the market, teaching children their letters and living simply. Slowly, she reconciled with Said and Nkem, who welcomed her back without judgment. Months passed. One afternoon by the river, a man named Folaran approached, a widower with 2 young children. His smile was gentle. "My children speak highly of you. They say you tell the best stories. I wonder, would you walk with me, perhaps share a meal?" Lila paused, searching her heart. Not for envy or desperation, but for genuine peace. She found it there, quiet and steady. "I'd like that," she said, and meant it. As they walked together, his children running ahead, Lila glanced back at the river one last time. She'd spent so long looking at other people's lives that she'd forgotten to live her own. Now, finally, she'd found what she'd been searching for, not in someone else's happiness, but in her own peace. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more wisdom. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts and like this video to help others find the peace they're searching for.